Okay, guys, for all the tricks, all these sections, they have grease. You're going to get rid of all the grease that comes with the reels. This is every reel. This is KastKing. This is all the brands. Shimano, Daiwa, you name it. Get the grease out of it that comes with it. It's too thick. It slows things down when it's on gears. And it's just how manufacturers do it for their own protection. They're going to be guaranteed that nothing's going to come apart and stuff. And remember, these are mods. When you use lithium grease and oil on these parts, you're not voiding warranties at all, but you are putting a little bit lighter gear grease on. So it means more maintenance, Make sure you're taking them apart once or twice a year instead of every 3 years to make sure you're not getting gears coming apart and stuff like that. So, do this stuff with the intention that you're going to be taking them apart and checking them frequently, Also, when you use the Lucas reel oil, it's synthetic. So the bearings, I still put it on once or twice a year. And if one would go in the water, I've never had one go in the water yet, but if one would go in the water, I would do it then. So if it was, 3 months or even one day after I'd already gotten done doing this, I would still re-lube everything because it went in the water. But other than that, I really only take these apart once, sometimes twice a year, depending on how hard I'm beating them up. And they just run smooth. And I have my Crixus, and my co-angler had his Crixus out, and mine was giving me a little bit of fits here and there. And I knew it was the grease. I knew it was the stuff that one of the tricks I'm going to teach you about, the drag system. I knew that's what was causing it. And I cleaned it up and did my tricks to it with my lubes, and it outperforms his now. And he's just like unbelieved that they're the same reel, because those tricks just lighten things up and make things even smoother. Because you get these high-end bearings that people are putting in all these reels, and while those are amazing, and you'll get better performance than what I'm doing by putting those high-end bearings in it, it's not quite as much as you think when you do this stuff. And you save a ton of money because those bearings aren't cheap when you get those high performance bearings for these reels. So just doing simple tricks like this, like putting some better lube in them and going to a lighter grease that's still a waterproof lithium grease, pretty amazing what you can get out of these things, and it just makes them perform like, $500 reels. And this is their most affordable reel, the Whitemax. And I'm telling you what, this thing performs like easily a $200-some reel the way I do it. It's pretty amazing. It performs like that out of the gate anyhow. KastKing stuff does, but it really brings a performance level out of it when you do this stuff. So first step, get all the grease out of everything, especially the bearings. You don't want grease in bearings. You want oil in bearings, period, hands down. That's what you want in them. So that's what you're going to do. You're going to get all the grease out of it. Now, this section, there's a plastic ring in the center here that metal rides around, okay? And I'll even do this a couple times so that you can see that there, you can see that plastic riding around that, okay? That is where you're going to drop about 4 different drops at 4 different areas, like form a T of the Lucas reel oil. Okay, like I said, you can use any reel oil you want, but Lucas reel oil is synthetic. It's got great properties, and I'm telling you what, I've used them all. I've got the Bass Pros red stuff here. I've got the Fire Juice or whatever the one's called. I've used a lot of them, and Lucas reel oil, hands down, the best. So I get the best performance out of the bearings and the reels when I do that. So that's what you're going to lube there, and you're going to lube that bearing. Okay, you're going to get lube down into that, and you're going to spin them. I use a cotton Q-tip. Use a Q-tip. Just poof it out a little bit, and it'll fit right down in those bigger bearings, and you can spin them. Then put more lube in, spin them, put more lube in, spin them. I do it about 3 times. Just 2 or 3 drops, spin it a bunch, 2 or 3 drops, so I get 6 to 9 drops down into these bearings, okay, with the Lucas oil. That's that bearing right there, okay. The other thing that you're going to find with the lithium grease is every gear. If it's a gear, okay, put white lithium grease on it. And I mean, smear it in. Don't cake it like you're packing a wheel bearing, but smear it in till the grooves are covered halfway decent. You know, you don't have to have it packed in like a wheel bearing, but pack it in there halfway decent, you know. That's the gears. Your ring gear, you're going to do the same thing. You're going to definitely do that on the plastic gears, okay? Because you want a good amount of lube on those plastic gears so that they don't tear up. I mean, that's what wears them out, is running dry, okay? But the thick gear lube that comes with them slows them down. It drags them. It causes a drag. It's just the properties of that kind of that gear lube, or that, not gear lube, but the grease. It's just it's what it does. It's just, you can feel that if you put it in your hand, and you do this with it, you know, you can definitely tell it's thicker, it's kind of sticky, and the white lithium is just, it's like butter. It's what we used to put in our mountain bikes, in all the steering head, the head unit for the steering, and we'd run those things through mud and muck and everything in races, and boy, I mean, I'm telling you what, I've used it in reels and everything since then, and it's magic, man. It just keeps stuff running great. Okay, now here is the tip for the number one thing that I don't know why they do it. It's probably just so the steel plates don't go bad before they can ship things, but every manufacturer, and I don't care who it is, I don't care if it's a $700, $1,000 reel down to a $8 thing you get from Walmart, it does not matter. All bait casters, and even your spinning reels that have a drag system in them, the drag system comes with the main ring, okay? There's your main ring. And then your disc, a steel, another disc, and this is going to depend on how many discs your drag system calls for. Okay, another disc, another steel. Okay, another steel. One of those steels is going to have those little bitty tabs on it. Okay, see those little tabs? You can see those tabs right there sticking up. Try to get that one on that camera. Yeah, those little tabs sticking up. Those tabs are part of the locking into the 4 little nodulars, the little nodes inside of that ring. As you can see, those 4 little nodes in that ring, so that it can lock to this, okay? Because it has to lock to the crank handle, which is the very first spined one, okay? The one that's keyed, and it also has to lock to it with the one that keys to the ring gear, okay? Then you'll have another, on KastKing they have, I mean, this Whitemax has 17.5 pounds of carbon fiber drag, so it's got quite a few discs in it, okay? And then your final steel disc, okay? These come sometimes with oil in them, sometimes with grease in them. I don't know why. Other than, like I said, it must be a shipping thing. It has to be a shipping thing so that they're going to be stored for, who knows, you know, one of these may not sell for 2 years. It might be on a shelf. Who knows? Maybe that's their intention, is to make sure that they don't have any rust on stuff, because rust is bad. You get rust on these steel plates, and that is the number one reason why your drag systems start going to garbage, because they get rust on them, and then it grabs where all that rust is. But if there's grease on it, if it comes with grease, it sticks like crazy, and your drag just feels like garbage. You'll be pulling your line out, you know, and it'll be going kick, kick, kick. It'll stick in places and stuff right out of the gate, brand new reel, and you'll be like, man, what's wrong with my drag system, you know? Or they'll put oil on it, and oil, while it makes the drag very smooth, you're not going to get 17.5 pounds drag out of oil all over all these things. Okay, so if they came with grease, get all that grease off there as best you can. Best thing I found to do, if it came with grease, get it wiped off as best you can. And you got to be careful with these carbon fiber. I mean, I'm going to flex this just a little bit to show you they are weak. They are weak because they don't need to be strong. They're smashed flat between two pieces of steel. They don't need to be strong. So these things are very weak and brittle. You don't want to be bending them or anything while you're cleaning them, but take some paper towels and I usually pull from the center straight out, center straight out. So from the center straight out like that is what I like to do because it doesn't cause any bends and everything. Get as much of that off as you can. Then use some brake cleaner on it if it had grease. Only if it had grease. Do not do brake clean on them if they had oil on them. And I'll tell you why that in a second. Because if they had grease on them, you're going to brake clean them, get all that grease out of there because you don't want grease at all. Grease will get hard, will get sticky, period. No matter, even the white lithium grease eventually will. So don't do that. Don't let grease be in there. Clean it with brake clean. Clean all the steels, the gear part down in there where the first one, your first drag disc goes. Your actually fiber, your carbon fiber. Get that cleaned out. No grease. No grease in the drag system at all. So use brake clean. Then you're actually going to lube them with some real oil. Very light. I mean, some on your finger. Get it in your finger so your fingers are slick, and then touch it and pull from the center out. Get them a little wet, not wet, but, get them lubed again. And then you're going to clean them again like you would if they came with oil on them. And you're going to dry off as much of that oil because that way they have a little bit of something on them. You want them to feel a little slick in your hand, just a little, just enough that you're not going to get rust. That's all you're trying to do. You're just trying to protect these discs from rust, the steels. You're trying to protect the steels from rust is all you're doing. Okay, so you just want it to be a little bit, just like there's something there, just like there's just kind of like it feels like there might be something there. The discs you won't tell because they're just the disc material. You're not going to notice it, but you just want to be able to tell that there's something there, okay? And that's it. That's where you stop on these things. And I'm telling you what, there is your performance right there. Nothing ruins a reel's ability to cast or anything as bad as that drag system comes on all reels, period. I mean, I've never taken apart a reel in my life that didn't have either grease or oil all over in that section. And doing what I do to them and taking it apart once or twice a year, I've never had rust build up on those plates, ever doing it this way because I'm constantly in there. I'm constantly maintaining my reels like you should, and I don't have a problem. So you can trust me, over 15 years now, I've been taking those sections apart and doing that, and it smooths my reels out a bunch. But that also says something about KastKing. I don't want to constantly be getting off subject of what we're doing here, but the KastKing reels, I'm telling you what, to be able to get them as smooth as they are for the affordable cost you get these things for, I'm telling you, they already come smooth, but then you do these tricks to it, you easily think you have a $300 to $500 reel in your hand. I'm not even joking, man. You guys with your KastKing reels, if you do these tricks, which is so simple to do, I mean, you only have to even take it down to this. You get this section cleaned up and get it back together, you can even forget about everything else, and you're going to notice a huge performance out of them. I mean, you're not going to even believe it's the same KastKing reel in your hand. I mean, KastKing just makes equipment that works that freaking amazing. I mean, I can't believe it. So that's pretty much it for what we do to, and you got your back, you got your one in your very front cover that has a bearing in it. You're going to want to clean that, Other than that, that's the teardown and the lubing process I do to make these things just wicked casters and wicked performers. And by performers, I'm talking the drag system. You want a smooth drag, nice smooth drag when it's coming out. You want to be able to tighten it down and lock it when you need it to and not have it slip. When you're fighting stuff in areas where you got the heavier braids on and stuff, you don't want that thing slipping when you got 60-pound braid on, So those are the tricks, guys, that you do. The next video we're going to put together is going to be for putting this all back together because doing all this to it ain't going to do no good if you can't get it back together. So that's going to be our next step, putting all this back together and having a working reel when we're done. So stay tuned, guys. We will be putting that together soon enough, and then you guys will be able to tear reels apart, put them together, and make them butter when you're done. Yeah. Thank you, KastKing, for making great quality equipment, though, that really performs when you do this to it. So we'll talk to you guys soon.